Hello guys and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I don't know, I always feel so awkward saying this, but I am genuinely happy that you're watching my videos. But yeah, happy 2026. It's January 4th today, it's Sunday, and yeah, I look like shit, I look like a ghost, so let's get ready. Yeah, basically I'm gonna do my makeup. I will link all the products in the description, but meanwhile I'm going to answer all of your questions about my work, my main income streams, and yeah, basically how I became an influencer, and just giving you all my tips and tricks. So I basically wrote down all of your questions, so I'm gonna try to give as much structure as possible to this video, but yeah, let's see. And I'm also gonna try to answer everything as short as possible, or yeah, I'm just gonna try not to yap too much in between, because it's quite a lot. But yeah, let's get started. So basically the first questions were all about how I started and like how many years I've been doing this and what I did before this, or what I would have been doing if I wouldn't be an influencer. So basically my intention never was to be an influencer, but I kind of always knew that I wouldn't be working for a boss my entire life. Like, let me take this off. My hair is in a slick back bun and I haven't worn this hairstyle in ages. I don't know, I just don't like it on me anymore, but my hair is greasy, it's Sunday, I didn't want to wash my hair today, so yeah, don't mind it. But so yeah, basically I always kind of knew that I wouldn't be working for a boss my entire life. I always dreamed big, and it's kind of crazy to say, but like even back in high school I was struggling quite a lot. Like I did quite a difficult studies, but yeah, I just remember thinking if my grades weren't the best or anything, I was just like always thinking like I won't need this in the future anyways, like I will be doing something completely different. So yeah, and even back in high school I started like a fashion slash travel blog, like literally a website. So I was always very much into taking pictures and like aesthetics, and I just like really liked, I was like obsessed with like beautiful things like nature or like food or fashion or whatever. So yeah, I feel like I always kind of had it in me to say it like that. Oh my god, something is itching, what is it? But yeah, I also was like highly interested in the digital world in general. So yeah, at university in Amsterdam, I studied digital business. So I was very interested in the digital world, and then during my master's degree, I actually did an internship at GRWM, the hair care brand, and I did online marketing. So basically I just like managed the websites, I did email marketing, I just like wrote text for the website, I did lots of things actually, I don't even remember, it's been a while ago, but yeah, just like digital advertisements, all these kinds of things. But I remember that I really wanted to do like that kind of job back then, but for me it was like really important to not work at like a boring corporate company. So that's where like two worlds kind of came together when I started working at GRWM, because GRWM is obviously like a super feminine hair care brand, and they're also like super aesthetic and everything. So yeah, that job was actually like the best of both worlds. And yeah, I really liked it there. And then meanwhile, I have also been modeling ever since I moved to Amsterdam, since I was like 18. Yeah, modeling never was like my main focus, but obviously like I did really enjoy it. You came in contact with like very creative people, and it also brought you all over the world because like obviously I had to travel as well. So yeah, I would say I was always active on social media. I mean, I always had like an Instagram platform, but I feel like I gained a little bit of following because of my modeling work, because obviously I had like good pictures that I could post. And then I also worked at Hiiiii, so they basically also like used me in their Instagram posts. So when I worked there, like Hiiiii was like still quite like relatively small. Like now it's huge. They grew like so big, but back then I think there were only like 15 people working in the company or something. So yeah, I remember they also didn't pay for like influencers or anything. Yeah, and also not really for the models. So they actually used me as a model. But yeah, they also posted me on their Instagram, and then sometimes I also gained like a little bit of following because of that. So yeah, I think like at one point I had around like 15k followers, and then actually a influencer agency reached out to me, and yeah, I basically just like started there, and I started to get some jobs. But I do remember that my agency told me that if I really wanted to like pursue this influencer career a bit more, I had to put more effort in my organic content. So that basically means that you have to post more consistently, and also think about like what kind of brands do you want to work with. Like if you want to grab attention from fashion brands, then you have to post more of your daily outfits. Or if you want to get more like beauty campaigns, then you have to post like your makeup routines or hair routines or whatever. So I remember that very well, and at one point I did put a little bit more effort in that, because like before I was just like posting some of my modeling pictures and then basically just like nature, like sunsets and food basically. So I just started recording like more beauty routines, so like hair videos and makeup videos. And I also did like a little bit of fashion, but I feel like, especially in the beginning, I felt a little bit more comfortable with recording beauty stuff, because like for fashion, I felt like I really had to go like outside and like ask someone to take my pictures, and I always felt like a little bit uncomfortable doing that. So yeah, basically I just started recording like makeup tutorials and hair tutorials just in my room at home. And this also answers the questions about like how did you find your aesthetic and what helped you grow on social media. Yeah, so basically I think it's really important to find something that you feel comfortable doing, and it needs to be a mix of what you want to achieve, but also something you feel comfortable at and you're actually good at as well. So I feel for me, like the fashion part, it had to grow a little bit on me, while like doing makeup tutorials and hair tutorials at home. I just felt really comfortable doing that, and I also was like kind of good at it because obviously I learned a lot while I was a model. Like my makeup was done by makeup artists on a daily, so obviously I watched them do it, and I also really learned like what I like on my face and what I don't like. And I also remember I always asked like a lot of questions to makeup artists because I just like was so genuinely interested, and I just learned like a lot of tips and tricks. So that felt like a bit more natural to me. And then also like going back to the time I worked at Hiiiii, like obviously like in the beginning it was like mainly a hair care brand. So I also did like hair videos for them. So I also started doing like hair videos on my own platform. So my hair tutorials and like my hair videos in general, they kind of started to go viral. And that's where I started to gain like most of my following in the beginning. And then for me, it was kind of important to not only focus on only hair and beauty, but just like kind of doing a mix of other things as well. I also really wanted to show my own personality because I did kind of figure out in the beginning, like even though these videos of my hair kind of went viral, I'm still not like a hairstylist. I always kind of do like the same things, and I'm not really like a professional hairstylist. So I also kind of knew that like obviously these kinds of videos help you grow and gain following, but then again, like I just knew that at one point I wouldn't be able to come with like new ideas for like hair videos or whatever. So I didn't want people to follow me like only for that reason. So yeah, a tip from me to you is like definitely find something that people recognize you for. So basically kind of finding your own niche, so something you're just like good at and people just recognize you for, because that will help you grow your following in the beginning. But then also just think about like where do you want to go with your social media. And like I explained, like I didn't only want to do like hair tutorials for the rest of my career, so I was just like very intentional with like other things I posted as well. And I feel like especially on TikTok, I wanted to create a platform where I could show a little bit more of myself, because on Instagram it was like mostly aesthetic things, but I decided to talk more on my TikTok, so people felt like more connected with me and they felt like they kind of knew me. And I feel like in that way you kind of start to build a community. Yeah, and that was actually also the reason for me to start my YouTube, because like a few years ago TikTok was way less fast, I would say, because like now it's mostly just like trends, and if a video doesn't catch your attention within like the first second, I would say people scroll already. And I feel like that's the reason why I wanted to become more active on YouTube as well, because on YouTube it's just like longer formats, you can talk longer, you can show more of what you're doing without it getting boring too fast, because people actually go to YouTube to just like watch longer videos. Yeah, so that's basically how I kind of build my social media platforms and like how I grew on social media. Yeah, so back again to what helped you grow on social media. I think it's really important to look at the content that performs like really well. So that's where you can kind of find your niche. And I think it's good to make these kinds of videos or pictures or whatever come back to gain following. But then also I think it's important to listen to like what do you really want, because like for me those are like two separate things. I mean, I think you're very lucky if the videos that you like doing the most, if they go viral, that's like so good. But for me, like most of my hair videos went viral, and obviously I love doing my hair, like I'm such a hair girly, I've always been, but I also knew it's not something I want to do like every day because I like so many other things as well. And for me, I feel like I really wanted to do like a mix of fashion and beauty, but I also really enjoy just like showing my day-to-day life. So it's like a little bit a mix of everything. And I think for me, I really wanted to create like more of a personality online rather than just like being famous for like one type of content. Yeah, but it all really depends on where your interests are. So yeah, I would really say just like look at what works and at what you really enjoy doing and like try to find like a balance in there. And yeah, also just like you guys are asking for advice for beginners and just like for starting content creators. So yeah, my advice is like really stay true to yourself. And the thing is also, I feel like it's also really important to not only copy paste like every trend that exists on the internet, because obviously trends are very popular and these kind of videos and photos tend to go very viral, but then again, you're also not building something sustainable and it basically just makes you the same as everyone else, so it doesn't make you stand out. So yeah, I think hopping on trends can be good to gain some following or to have some like viral content. But I also think it's really important to not only focus on trends and definitely also not only like copy paste everything from another creator. Like for me, and this was also a question, like where do I get like my inspiration from? Yes, obviously there's a lot of content on the internet and there are like so many influencers, and like I have it all the time that I'm scrolling on Instagram or TikTok and I see something that I really like and I save it for inspiration. But I feel like for me, I really try to not exactly copy paste things. Like for me, it's really important to try to find something that is just like more unique and more me. And I feel like you can really tell the difference between these kinds of like social media profiles, because some profiles are just all about like doing trends and like exactly copy pasting a concept from another creator, and I personally don't think it's something that will get you very far. I mean, obviously it's something you can do occasionally, but I think it's just like really important to, yeah, I don't know, like find your own aesthetic. But I feel like for me, like my ideas, they literally just like pop up in my head like while I'm like watching TV or I'm like laying in bed, and then I'm just like writing it down, and sometimes I don't even know exactly what I want to achieve with this concept, but yeah, I just start recording and then I'll just see how it goes. And that's also another tip from me to you, especially for TikTok, like don't overthink it. Just start posting, and after a while you will see the things that you really enjoy doing and the things that like get views and stuff. And it's just like something you learn along the way, and it's definitely not something that you need to exactly copy paste from another creator, because something that works for someone else won't necessarily work for you. Because I get that question a lot as well, that people say like, yeah, I'm really trying so hard to reach like this kind of aesthetic or whatever, but it doesn't really work for me. Like my suggestion would be like try to find something else that does work. And I mean, there are like so many different aesthetics. It's not only like the clean girl or the messy girl or whatever. You can literally like create your own aesthetic and just like find something that works for you, whether it's like talking on camera, doing get ready with me's, doing more outfit videos, doing day vlogs, doing mukbangs, like more food related content, whatever. It's just all about trial and error, I would say. Yeah, so someone also asked like, how do you manage so many channels? I do have to say, like, I actually don't know. Like, I'm so bad in finding a balance, honestly. But for me as well, it's also a lot of trial and error. And I feel like at this point, I kind of found like my different strategies per platform. So TikTok is way more about just like a lip sync on a sound or a hair video, makeup video, just like showing my outfit real quick. It's more effortless, I would say. And I feel like on Instagram, I'm trying to become a little bit more elevated, I would say, because I feel like I also really get a lot of joy out of trying out like different concepts, working on different locations with different styling, with different cameras as well. So what I've been doing a lot recently is I actually invest a lot of money in my Instagram, and that's also another tip for me to you. Like, it's not something you have to do from the beginning, but like once you start earning money from your social media, I think it's also really good to also invest in your social media. So what I've started doing is, for example, like I do it almost like once a month. Like in the past few months, I've been doing it like 2 or 3 times a month. But for example, I book a hotel in Paris for a few days. I book an assistant and I create vision boards or like Pinterest boards of the vibe I want to shoot there. I use ChatGPT to create like a whole program and schedule of like places I want to visit in Paris and like locations I want to shoot content at. And I also really plan my outfits. And for example, when I'm shooting campaigns there, like paid campaigns, I'm also trying to make it a little bit more editorial, because like in the beginning for me, like I literally shot like almost all my fashion campaigns just like in front of my door in Amsterdam, and it's like very easy and it often also performs really well. But I feel like at one point for me, I just wanted to bring it a little bit to the next level, and that's also like an answer to one of your questions. You kind of have to think about like the brands you're trying to reach, because like on my vision board for 2025 was like working with brands like Prada, Miu Miu, just like other kinds of high-end brands. But I feel like if you want to catch attention of these kinds of brands, it's really important to make your content more elevated and a little bit more editorial as well, and experience with that a little bit. So in 2025, I really started investing in that, especially with my Instagram account. So that was actually also a little bit of like an intentional shift. So yeah, basically there are some questions about like how did you start receiving PR? How did you get to work with brands like Rode, Chanel, Gisou? I feel like if you want to catch attention of specific brands, for example, Gisou or Rode or Chanel, you have to be a little bit more intentional about what you post. So think about like what is their aesthetic, like what kind of influencers do they work with, and what kind of brands don't align with their brand. So I do have to say, like when you're an influencer, like obviously a lot of brands have a good amount of money they want to pay you, and especially in the beginning, like if you start working with brands, it's like very attractive to just like say yes to work with them because you just want to earn like a lot of money. But for me, honestly, like especially the past year, I can honestly say I have said no to like 90% of brands that reached out to me. And the reason for that is because, not because they're like shitty brands or whatever, but just because I feel like they didn't really align with the brands that I wanted to try to get attention from. So going back to the beginning, where I told you that my first management told me like, if you want to work with like fashion brands, for example, you have to start posting more organic content, like more fashion related content. So that's definitely the case here as well. I feel like I invest most of my time in non-paid content, so my organic content. And like in general, I think like your organic content is like the most important of it all. Like obviously your paid campaigns is what pays your income, but like your organic content is what makes you unique, like is what makes you strong and what people follow you for. Because like people don't follow you to only like see all your paid campaigns. So I feel like if you want to catch attention of like certain brands, like for example Gizu or Chanel or Rode or fashion brands or whatever, just think about like what kind of influencer would they work with, and don't only like post like Gizu one time organically or whatever, but really think about your profile. And for me, that just really was like saying no to a lot of brands in 2025, even brands I used to work with before, really nice brands as well, but some of them just weren't like fitting in the direction I wanted to go to. So I hope that kind of makes sense. It's a little bit hard to explain, but yeah, then there are also a lot of questions about like if a management is important or not, especially when you just start. I mean, if you just start, I don't know, I think you can do it yourself. For me personally, I wouldn't be able to do it myself just because I'm like so busy with like everything. By the way, I'm also realizing that I'm like barely doing my makeup here, but yeah, apparently I can do things at the same time. But yeah, so for me, a management is quite important. But I think the most important thing is finding a manager that really understands your aesthetic and like where you want to go in the future with your social media, and someone that's like really prepared to like put a lot of time and effort in you. Because I think that's kind of the same with like modeling agencies. Like obviously there are like some modeling agencies that are like, or that have like a good look in general, but like an agency is nothing without like a manager or like a booker that really is invested in you specifically. So I think that's like the most important thing. I do have to say, like if you don't really know like how to reach certain brands, it can be good to join a management because they obviously have like more connection to brands. My card is almost full, so I only have 10 minutes left. But anyways, about the management, I think it's just like really important if you're thinking about going with a management, just like have a good conversation with them and just kind of see if your values kind of align and if they understand like where you want to go and if they can also bring you more value, if that makes sense. So just ask them about their connections, if they have like certain connections with brands. And then I also think it's really important to ask them if you can have like different conversations with different managers or like bookers that work there, and find someone that you have like a good connection with. Because I will say your personal manager or booker is the person you will probably chat with 24/7. So that connection or like that relationship is like really important. But yeah, I just wanted to give like one more tip, because a lot of you have also been asking about like my income and like how you start to earn like a lot of money. Again, I think like a big part of that is like daring to say no to a lot of brands. And it's also like daring to dream. Like for example, I remember so well the beginning of 2025, I had like a huge brand deal, or like a brand that wanted to work with me, a beauty brand, and basically they wanted like full exclusivity, which means that I wasn't allowed to work with any other beauty brands in 2025. And back then it seemed like a really good deal, especially money wise. It was like a lot of money. But I remember so well saying to my manager, like, I don't know if we should do this because like, what if, let's say, Rode wants to work with me in 2025? Like, and back then it seemed so crazy that I even said that out loud. I also remember saying like, what if Rode invites me on a brand trip or Chanel invites me on a brand trip in 2025? Which I literally, like back then it literally sounded crazy, but I was just like, just what if? Like you don't know what's going to happen. And then we actually decided to say no to that brand deal with like full exclusivity, and I'm so happy we did because look what I did this year. Like I literally went on a brand trip with Chanel Beauty, I went on the brand trip with Rode, I worked with Hiiiii, just like all these beautiful brands that I literally only used to dream of, and I would have never been able to do this if I did say yes to that huge brand deal at the beginning of the year. So yeah, I know money is attractive, but I feel like sometimes you need to dare to say no to some things to reach or achieve even better things. I have 6 minutes left, holy shizzle. Yeah, so just more questions about like how do I film my videos. I get a lot of questions about like why my quality of my camera is so good. I literally film with my iPhone like everyone else does, but I always try to film in front of a window with like good lighting. Like good lighting is just key. So that I just film with my iPhone and a tripod. I also take all of my pictures with my iPhone, but I also use my digital camera. I have the Canon G7X. I don't like that one as much anymore. I actually prefer the Canon SX740. And then I have my vlog camera. I use a Sony ZV-2, if that's correct. I also bought the Digi Pocket, Osmo Pocket or something like that, which is actually kind of cool. It's also quite small, so it's actually kind of nice, but I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm just not like really using that one. Yeah, so just some questions about how I organize my schedule, like how many hours I work during the week. Like honestly, guys, I'm so bad with like finding a balance between work and life, really. Because I do have to say, and I think that's something I really want to try to do in 2026, and I also talked about this with my manager, because like in 2025 there was just like so much going on. There were like so many amazing brands that wanted to work with me, and it was a lot. And although I said no to a lot of brands, I also said yes to a lot of things, and also to trips and whatever, so I traveled a lot. But it really was a little bit too much, because obviously I also have my 2 brands, Pure Basics and Elise, and it's really a lot. So yeah, I literally work like day and night, like not really during the night, but like sometimes till like 2 a.m. I'm not gonna lie, and like even during the weekends. So yeah, like in 2026 I really want to try to find more of a balance, and I also want to try to work a little bit more with a schedule. So let's say I want to try to plan my week a little bit more. So for example, on Monday, I want to record content and edit my content. On Tuesday, I want to record my campaigns. On Wednesday, I will work for Elise. Yeah, I just like want to try to schedule it a little bit more like that. And like, obviously it's not really possible with my work because like everything is so last minute and also with traveling and whatever. But I want to try to do that as much as possible. And I also want to try to find like a little bit more of like a workout routine that fits in that schedule, because I think like physical and mental health is like so important, because like this work is really nice, but it is so draining as well. And it's really true what they're saying, like if you're self-employed and if you're like really busy with like many different things, your mind literally never relaxes. Like I literally, even when I'm like not working, my mind is working. So that's something I want to try to do better in 2026. Yeah, just some questions about if this is my main income stream. So yes, social media is my main income stream. So living off social media is definitely possible. And my long-term vision and goals. So my goals for 2026. I have many, and I do believe in manifestation. So I always write down everything I want to achieve, even if it's like, even if it sounds like so crazy. But I do have to say, like, manifestation is one thing, but action is another thing. So if you want something really bad, also take action towards your goals. So yeah, I really have to stop here because I have like 30 seconds left. But if you guys have any other questions, please let me know and I'll try to answer them in the comments. But yeah, I hope you guys liked it. I didn't even really finish my makeup look, but yeah, I literally look like shit anyways. But thank you so much for watching again, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!